I'm George Curtis. Welcome to It's Your Environment. Each week, it's my privilege to bring guests that teach all of us about our environment, what we're doing to it that we shouldn't be doing, how we can improve it, how we can enjoy it, and how we can preserve it for future generations to enjoy. During the last week of the Wisconsin summer, which is a short period of time, I've had the privilege of being out with my wife Suzette on at least 2 occasions along the waterway here in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. We had fine meals at Fratello's and Beckett's and sat out there watching the parade of people enjoying the river. And what a variety of boats, watercraft, of people out partying, old, young, people enjoying their pontoon boats, their speed boats, their personal watercraft, and it was just a parade. I didn't need the radio or the TV on. And of course, many of these investments, I'm sure, were major, and often they had little people parading back and forth on the boat, and some people obviously had their hair slicked back, intending to break some kind of a speed record. We realized how little we knew about boating, but how much we were learning about people taking advantage of the great water that we have here in the state of Wisconsin. And no place in Wisconsin is more blessed than right where you live here in Winnebago land. There are also boating accidents, but this isn't my show today. We're going to have an expert talk to you about our waterway, our privilege of using it, the risks and dangers, and how you can make sure when you and your family use it, it's a happy occasion and not a miserable one that ends up in the hospital or even worse. Our guest, Warden Jason Higgins. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, George.
Well, you've been on before. Of course, I especially enjoy having you on during hunting season. That's my disease, and whenever I see a warden, even though I'm not trying to do anything wrong, I think, boy, do I have lead shot in this old jacket? or is my back tag on upside down? Or what could this be about? And I realize that you're there to protect people, not to arrest people. Occasionally you have to arrest people. And if we have an accident on our farm, you're the first guy I want to see because you're trained to get the people out of there. But you've told me this morning that you're actually busier in the summer. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, and like you mentioned, I mean, this warm weather brings out a lot of people on the Wisconsin waters, and being in the Fox Valley area, you got Lake Winnebago and the river system, so a lot of people come out to recreate on Lake Winnebago and the lakes around in this area by boat, whether it's fishing, canoeing, kayaking, water skiing. They're all coming out to enjoy that weather.
And the water belongs to all of us. I think that's a point that has to be made. That isn't true in every state. In many states, if you have to cross private property to get to water, you can't get on it, that private ownership can actually landlock water. In this particular state, it's been established in a Diana Hunt Club case in the 1840s or 1850s, as I recall. It's everybody's water, and this state has taken it even further. If you can wade a stream, the wet tennis shoe test, I think, is one I hear wardens use. If you can get on in any public landing, you can use the water even though it goes through somebody else's private 1,000 acres. And so it should be. And then, of course, we've taken still further a step. We've got more access than any other state, too. It's hard to find a bit of water in Wisconsin where there isn't a lawful public access.
Yeah, and you look at this area, and there are numerous public accesses all around Lake Winnebago and the river systems, whether it be city landings, county boat landings. There's public access there for people to enjoy the water and get out to it.
And I like the fact that organizations statewide and locally, like the Otter Street Fishing Club, have gone through great effort to ensure that there are places for people who normally wouldn't be able to afford a boat or wouldn't be old enough to own and operate one can get on. The handicapped people, the elderly people, the kids who just have a bike and a can of worms. We've got those kinds of places too, don't we?
Yeah, we do. We have, I mean, there's handicapped fishing piers around the area for individuals to enjoy the water and get out and fish. There are organizations like Otter Street which bring handicap individuals onto boats and give them the opportunity to go out and enjoy Lake Winnebago and some of the water in the area.
But of course, it's so available, I think we take it for granted. And I see people throwing their garbage, throwing their bait cans, tossing junk into the waterways because it surrounds us. We don't fully appreciate how precious it is and the damage we can do to it. I suppose we could begin right there. There's some rules about how we treat our water.
Absolutely. And I think that goes back to a long time standing where most people respect the environment, and you have to have respect for the environment. Otherwise, you treat it in that manner. Littering is littering regardless of where it's at, whether it's on public property, private property, dry land, or water. It's a bad thing, and I think everybody knows that. That when we bring garbage out, we need to take the garbage home and dispose of it properly.
And of course, people who are out on boats and canoes, they have problems with eliminating human waste. And it can't be good, and I hope it's not legal to put that right in our river.
No, and that's something that boaters need to be prepared for. They need to realize if they're going to be out there for a long-standing period of time, they need to take the precautions and either go back to the landing or a facility or have a means of containing it in their boat.
And we have read a lot about exotics that have been brought into our country carelessly and foolishly. And while we have to take our first break when we come back, that's the next question I'm going to ask you, Jason, because we've got some serious threats of diseases and other exotics that have been brought into our waterways that could just wipe out everything we have here that's so precious.